Welcome viewers to Graphic Online Television. Today we have in our midst one of the best brilliant students or medical students that Ghana has ever produced. He came out tops at the University of Cape Coast Medical School with 15 of the 21 awards. So we are privileged to have him in our studio to have a discussion with him to find out what really made him to succeed in such a very difficult field. Dr. Edward Akosah Danso, you are welcome to Graphic TV.
Thank you very much.
So can you tell our viewers who you are really?
Okay, so my name is Edward Akosah Danso. I'm 25 years old. I'm the son of COP, Maame Yaa Tiwaa Addo-Danquah. We come from Asante Achem, Banka in the Ashanti region and currently live at Taifa. I recently graduated from medical school and I hope to become a very successful doctor. So in summary, that's who I am.
I see. As you were growing up, did you have the mind of becoming a medical doctor, or you were having different ideas of becoming IT expert and whatever?
Yes, so I've always wanted to be a medical doctor. There's this story my mom and her sisters tell me that when I was younger, my name is Edward Akosah Danso, but they tell me that when I was younger, I told them that when I become a doctor, I would refer to myself as Dr. Nana Akosah Danso. And I don't have any memory of that, so I'm sure it's way earlier. So I think it has been something that has been cooking since I was a child. I started kindergarten in Morning Star and finished primary school in GHS in Morning Star. Then I proceeded to Parental College in Ashanti region. Then I finished in 2014 and entered medical school in 2015. That's UCC.
Okay.
So that's my educational journey too.
Oh, I see. And as in school, from the basic and secondary school, apart from the book, what did you play any other role in school?
Okay, so when I was in primary school, I was the assistant school prefect.
Okay.
That's in Morning Star.
Okay.
Then in junior high school too, I was again the assistant school prefect.
Okay.
When I went to Parental College, I did more entertainment stuff. And finally, I was the science club organizer. And we had a massive science fest where we had a talk on DNA and all that. So I dabble a bit in other things apart from academics.
Oh, okay. So can you tell us, when you moved into UCC, how did you find the challenge?
So in UCC, I think initially our first year, you don't really do a lot of medical related courses. We do math, we do African studies, and a couple of university-based courses. So I think the real challenge started in level 200, when you have to transition from doing level 100 courses, which are basically a continuation of the senior high school curriculum, to hardcore medical school topics like anatomy, like physiology. Basically, what you have to do is know how to adapt to a changing system. So with the help of some of my friends and various group studies, we were able to adapt to the changing system of moving from the math and communication skills to the medical related courses, anatomy, physiology and all that.
And I mean, in terms of adapting or moving to level 200 from the normal basic university courses?
Very voluminous. You are required to learn a lot of stuff in a very short period. Okay. And you can't have everything in your mind or everything in your head. So that's where friends come in. That's where different pooling of different ideas come in. So sometimes you can share topics amongst your friends. Everyone learns his or her topic. Then we come and discuss. So that makes it easier to cover a lot in a very short period. So you have to know the tricks involved in trying to adapt and trying to excel in medical school.
I see. So meaning from level 200, all the entertainment stuff from basic school, secondary school were all thrown.
On the contrary, they actually increased. So once there's a term in medical school called water will find its own level. So initially a lot of people are, let's say, trying to adapt, trying to do well. But after a few months, you know that, okay, this is my level. This is my level. My level is 50 over 100 or 50%. My level is 70. My level is 80. So once you know your level, then you can add other things. So gradually, I added other things. I started by joining the editorial board, which produces our school magazine. That was in level 300. Then when I was going to level 400, I partnered an old friend of mine to run for presidency of the Medical Students Association, which we were successful and we won the elections. That was level 400. So I was vice president of the Medical Students Association, level 400. Then I ran for president in level 500. So I was president of the Medical Students Association in level 500. Then when I was done, I told myself that my final year is for myself and for my training to become a good doctor. So no more politics. Final year was just for books.
Wow. So were your friends or colleagues, family members, how were they describing you?
I think we had our yearbook just came out a week or two ago, and I was reading the comments some of my friends made, and they said what I do is not normal. I think that summarizes everything. Yes.
Not normal.
Yes.
Can you explain to our viewers when you say your friends said what you were doing was not normal?
I think basically being all round and being a jack of all trades. Usually when someone is a jack of all trades, the person becomes a master of none. But I think what they meant was that although I try to do a lot of things, I try to excel at them as well, and that is not normal.
I see. So, and how were your family members also seeing you?
So my family members have been extremely supportive.
Okay.
I think with parents, especially my mother, what she wants you to know or what she wants you to do is that you were brought to medical school to become a doctor. That's the first thing. So once you assure her that you are going to become a doctor, sometimes I send her some of my results. So once you tell her that, oh, I'm doing okay, so I want to add politics, she doesn't have a problem with that. Once you know that once she is aware that the primary reason why you were taken to medical school would definitely be accomplished, you wouldn't have resets, you wouldn't be repeated, your grades are good. If you can add other things, she'll fully support you.
I see, great. So did you have that ambition of sweeping the awards?
Not at all.
So how did it happen?
I think so. I had a lecturer who always used to motivate me.
Okay.
His name is Dr. Edward. He's the immediate past head of the Department of Pathology, but he's now the vice dean of the medical school.
Okay.
So when I came to level 200, I think he saw the potential that this boy is good, let me guide him and motivate him and he can excel. So our joint aim was just to produce a very good medical doctor, someone who excels in who's all around in almost all the medical topics, all the medical fields. And I think the byproduct was the awards. The main aim was just to produce a good doctor who will excel in the medical fields, and the byproduct is the awards that came along with it.
Do you look forward to staying in Ghana to be a consultant, or you want to leave the shores of the country to specialize?
So that's quite a complicated question, and specialization depends on what you want to do. I definitely see myself in Ghana helping build the country, helping improve our healthcare system. Okay. My final destination is to be a transplant surgeon and start a transplant program in Ghana, because I realized that a lot of people with chronic kidney diseases, chronic liver diseases, and diabetes. The gold standard treatment is transplant. So usually the dialysis that people with chronic kidney diseases are put on is just a bridging treatment waiting for transplant. And I recall Kolebu did some transplants years ago, I think a couple of years ago, but we don't have a set up transplant program in the country. So basically that's what I want to do. Getting to that final destination is where you can't really tell whether you'd stay in the country or not, because general transplant surgery, it's more or less a post fellowship of general surgery. I know general surgery can be done in Ghana, but then if you want to further add transplant, you'd have to go outside. So it all depends on where I can get my training, but the service will be provided to the country.
I see. So after your graduation, have you started your housemanship or not yet?
So we haven't been inducted yet by the Medical and Dental Council.
Okay.
We are still waiting for a date, and house job or housemanship will start immediately after induction.
And after the housemanship?
So after housemanship, it also depends on where you want to go, what you want to do, where you want to be. If you want to train in Ghana, after housemanship, you are posted as a medical officer. Then depending on the facilities need, they would sponsor your postgraduate specialization. If you want to train outside, you write exams depending on the country you want to go to. Then you go there and further your studies. So depending on where I want to be and what I want to do, I'd follow any of these paths.
Okay. So do you have any, should I say, any message for a younger doctors or doctors in training?
Okay, so for the younger doctors in trainings, my future colleagues and my friends and juniors, I think medical school is a full-time job, and medical school becomes your home, and your previous home becomes your vacation home. So with the 6 years, you spend about maybe 3 or 4 months of that 6 years at home. So what you have to do is make the most of the opportunity you have, make as many friends as possible, socialize with your colleagues, because the medical field is a bit enclosed. So those you train with are those you would work with for the length of your career. So make sure you link up with everyone in your social circle. For academic, so that's for the social life. For the academic life, I believe you have to be diligent with your basic sciences. So medical school is arbitrarily divided into preclinical years and clinical years, but there are some paraclinical courses. The preclinical years has to do with basic sciences, where you more or less understand the theoretical aspect of clinical practice. And the clinical years has to do with applying what you've learned to help your patients. So what I always tell my juniors when they ask me how I did it was that you have to pay attention to your preclinical years. Get a solid foundation in your basic sciences, and your clinical years will just be a walk in the park. That's for academics. For general relationship, family life, you'd always have to know that you are in a profession that's meant to help people. So you should have the innate attitude of helping people. You'd encounter people who would need your help in one way or the other. Always have a good heart and try to help people as much as possible. You may not just financial help, it could be emotional, it could be anything. And never do anyone wrong. You definitely offend people, you definitely step on toes, but it should never be your aim. It should never be your goal that I'm intentionally going to hurt this person. You'd offend someone in one way or the other, but never make it your aim that you are hurting someone on purpose. Then finally, your spiritual life and God. Grace abounds and you always have to tap into it. What I always tell people is that there's the perfect will of God. God doesn't make mistakes. So anything that happens in your life, just assume that it's all part of the great plan and believe in the perfect will of God. That's it.
So if we're talking about the family life, just imagining one of your responses, you said 4 months out of 6 years that you have to spend. How did you cope with the family?
So basically, my mother is my family. Basically, I have other family members, but she's my go-to person. She's my best friend. She's my mother. She's everything. So coping with, I talk to her maybe 2 to 3 times every day. Okay. I know her schedule. So I know the time she would be in her car going to work. I'll call at that time. I know the time she goes on break. I may call at that time. And I know the time she closes from work. So you don't necessarily have to be with someone to make the person feel that you are around. You just have to make sure that the person knows you are thinking about them. You keep in touch, text messages, WhatsApp, voice call, whatever you can do. You don't necessarily have to be around.
But using text messages, WhatsApp messages, you are breaking that personal relationship that we all know as Ghanaians.
So the fact of the matter is that you don't have a choice. So you have to work with what you have. You won't get a vacation.
She likes attention.
Not really, but she likes to know her children are safe. So she likes to hear from her children. So I wouldn't call it attention. She wants to know that her child in Cape Coast is safe. So,
all right. So maybe on a last note, what would you advise the younger generation?
Every child, every young person has always imagined about how they want to live in the future. So go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Take inspiration from whoever you can take inspiration from. Get role models. Take bits and pieces from every role model towards it. And the final thing is always live for people, because that's where true happiness comes from. Always make sure that you are part of people's joy. You are the source of people's happiness, and you always be fulfilled.
Describe your mother in 2 sentences to the world.
That's not enough. 2 sentences. I can do more than 2 sentences. So my mother, one word, sacrifice. She would sacrifice everything to make people feel better. My mother is kind. She can't bear to see people suffer. My mother is wise. Having a 2-hour conversation with her is very deep and gives you a lot of understanding of life. My mother is intelligent. My mother I get overwhelmed. More or less, she is one person that if you were to choose one person to understudy, or one person to always talk to, or one person who would be your friend for the rest of your life, you should pick my mother. She has everything. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nana
Akosah
Danso. Well, viewers, we've had the honor of having an interaction with the best graduating medical student from the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Nana Akosah Danso. We hope to share with our viewers and our readers this interview, hoping that we will learn from it and help improve our society. Thank you very much.